All right, everybody, welcome back. We're following breaking news this hour. Breaking news, I should say, this hour. This release of this 100-plus page report by the Texas House Investigative Committee looking into what took place during the Uvalde shooting. Of course, based off of this video that we are seeing here that was obviously released last week, leaked last week. The parents receiving this full report, and we're getting confirmation now that some of those parents have this report in hand. I want to bring in Priscilla Thompson for us, who's on the ground for us in Uvalde, Texas, has been following this story. Getting parents' reactions as well over the last few days or so. And Priscilla, talk to me as we are learning more details from this report, these 400 or so officers, both state and federal, that were on the ground there in response, doing nothing for 1+ hour. Where to point the finger? Who holds the responsibility for what went wrong? What more are we learning?
Yeah, some pretty startling information in this report. But I've got to tell you, from speaking to some of the families in this community, and particularly those who have lost loved ones, I don't know that they are surprised by this information because of just after seeing this, or after even just hearing that they're 77 minutes past. You had to have known that something here went terribly wrong. And so now I think we're getting the specific details about where exactly those failures are. And notably, so much of the conversation around accountability has focused on the school police chief, Pete Arredondo. But this report appears to really sort of spread the accountability out among all of these different agencies that were on site. You mentioned the hundreds of officers who were there from various agencies, saying that everyone had a responsibility in this situation, and there were systemic failures is some of what was mentioned in that report, though notably they make it a point to say, like, the only person in this situation who operated with any sort of ill will was the shooter, and who had malice, and that was the shooter. But they also say this report is not going to bring any of these loved ones that have been lost back, and they recognize that. And just in speaking with some of the family members, I think that's something that they acknowledge too. Like, this report for some of them means nothing. It does nothing for them because their child or their grandchild or their sibling is still lost in all of this. And of course, the thing that they don't see, and I'll be curious to speak to more folks once they actually read through more of this report, is what they're looking for is a lot of the accountability here is, okay, what does accountability look like? Does it look like people being fired? Does it look like systemic changes to ensure that this doesn't happen again? We're also seeing in this report a lot of information about some of the security measures at the school, like the door being propped open or the fencing. Is any of that going to change moving forward? And so I think that families and people in this community are looking for change. And, you know, I have no doubt, we just watched live the committee gavel in, and they're heading to the junior college to meet with these families. And I have no doubt that is going to be another very difficult meeting, another very difficult moment for these families, because while this report does provide information, it's not going to bring a loved one back, and we're not seeing that accountability yet that so many people in this community are looking for and have been calling for. But hopefully these answers will provide something. I'm just not sure how far that something goes in this community that is dealing with so much hurt and so much loss.
Well, and I wonder, Priscilla, because when I was on the ground there directly following the shooting, there was already so much mistrust with the information that was trickling out, because every day something that was said the day before was proved wrong, right? And that has continued to happen and continues to happen. And even as parents read this report, I wonder if they even trust what they're reading, right? How can they at this point, considering how botched all of this has been?
That is another huge piece of it, Yasmin. In fact, when we were speaking with the grandfather of Layla Salazar, he said he doesn't believe he'll ever get the truth. He will read the report, he will digest it, but he doesn't know if this is a cover-up or if there's something being hidden or not accurately communicated in this report. And so already in his mind, he says he doesn't think he's ever going to know what really happened and all of the facts and all of the details. But what he does say is that regardless of what the facts may be, he feels like the root problem, having lived through this experience, is that he wants to see some sort of gun reform. And so in speaking with him, the conversation went there. Like, yes, there should be accountability for the people involved in this specific situation, but also there has to be a bigger change to ensure that this doesn't happen and that officers, and let alone children, are not placed in this situation again. And he feels like that can only be achieved by changing the gun laws so that an 18-year-old can't get their hands on an AR-15 and walk into a school and do something like this.
Yeah, which does not necessarily seem like it's actually going to happen, whether it be in the state of Texas or on a federal level. Obviously, many people have come on this program. Many Texas state legislatures have come on this program. Legislators have come on this program asking for a special session to address the gun laws in the state of Texas. The governor refusing to do that. Obviously, we've seen on a federal level some of the gun reform legislation that has been put into place. None of it, though, addresses of course, either an all-out ban on AR style weapons and or an increase in age. So that's really an uphill battle. I'm sure incredibly frustrating, especially for people that have lost a child in all this, as more and more of these details are emerging. As I'm looking through some more of these details from this report, it is just incredibly astounding. Let me just read one report out of the Washington Post, one piece out of the Washington Post for you as we go to break here, which is talking about Pete Arredondo, which many know as essentially the school district police chief. He wrote this active shooter response plan and assigned himself as the incident commander, but did not, in fact, follow the protocol that he had set up. And as Priscilla had spoken about, they kind of cast this wider net of responsibility here, saying this void of leadership could have, in fact, contributed to the loss of life as injured victims waited over an hour for help and the attacker continued to sporadically fire his weapon. They say rather than isolate blame on local officers, as some had since the shooting, the report cast this broader net. Hundreds of responders from numerous law enforcement agencies, many of whom were better trained and better equipped than the school district police, quickly arrived on the scene. Those other responders who also had training on active shooter response and the interrelation of law enforcement agencies could have helped to address the unfolding chaos. Yet in this chaos, no responder seized the initiative. There are so many more startling details coming out of this report, and I'm sure as we are all shocked to read it, you can only imagine what it is like to be a mother or father who has to go through this report as well and no longer has their child with them beside them.